What if I told you that the most powerful form of marketing you have right at your fingertips? It's right in front of your face. It's free, and you can instantly implement this the moment you hear this podcast to help grow your business. I'm going to be reading from several studies today that talks about why this is so powerful and why you can actually use something that many of you complain about to your unique advantage if you're just able to think in an innovative fashion. This marketing message, like I said, doesn't cost anything and will impact your sales and allow you to charge a higher price immediately. We're going to be talking about this in depth today on something that you must start implementing as part of your main marketing message. And if you do, you're going to see results right away. So if you're ready, let's go.
Welcome to the Brian Wright Show audio experience, a podcast dedicated to transforming lives, careers, and businesses. And now your host. He's a husband, father of two, an international business and life coach, the founder and CEO of New Patient Group and WrightChat, and a consultant and global speaker for some of the finest companies in the world, such as Invisalign and many others. Now, here's your host, Brian Wright.
Shout out to the audience members coming to our iconic event next week. So as this podcast launches on the 1st of October, next week following is our iconic event in Nashville, Tennessee. Going to be great seeing the customers there. Also great seeing a lot of new faces that are registered for this event. It's unlike any other. So can't wait to see everybody. And real quick shout out, just getting back from a Line and Shine put on by Invisalign. I kicked off that event over in San Diego, and the audience feedback was great. Shout out Invisalign. You did a great job with that event. That event was first class, and the feedback was wonderful. Did brand new content there, and it was very well received and highly appreciated. I got to meet a lot of the podcast followers. You came in, introduce yourselves. Always nice to put the faces to the statistics that we see, and it was beautiful. Great event. Had a lot of good food, good times, good company, and it was awesome. Today, we're going to be diving into something, so many times I have, and I don't know when I'm going to do it. I never have, but I have had a podcast idea for a while. It's been in the notes that talks about all the free marketing that we have at our disposal that so many businesses out there don't use. Like, you're so caught up in the pay-per-click ads and, postcards and all this stuff that you forget the best marketing constantly, time after time, just is sitting there, right? Your sales follow-ups in our niche out there and your pending treatment charts. Like, you have millions of dollars sitting there with people that said, let me think about it. And you're not tapping into it properly. That's free marketing. We go to restaurants. You guys have heard me talk about this I talk about this specific example a lot because this specific example bugs me probably more than anything else and shows how people just do not have their mind in the right place. Otherwise, they would think about this. Is how many times you sat at a restaurant and at the end of the night, they don't ask you for a 5-star review. They don't ask you how your experience was. They don't ask you for referrals and talk to the community. There is so many lost opportunities in the restaurant business by not training waiters how to look for opportunities, how to speak and communicate properly, to ask for those opportunities. And those are just a few quick examples. Like I said, today's not the episode, but I've been wanting to do that episode for a while because there are so many. Think about the hundreds of 5-star reviews that are lost inside restaurants every single year because the waiters don't ask. And it's that kind of stuff. And there's so many others that podcast is going to talk about. I'm either going to do that podcast as just one, or I'm just going to do a drip, because today's another one where, if you're outside of our niche, you'll still get this today, and you can still apply it in so many different ways to your business, because corporations inside our niche, so dentistry, orthodontics, especially other practices where doctors own their own business, corporations are scooping up the private practice left and right. And there's a lot of complaining about it. There's a lot of, what do we do? How do we compete? And unfortunately, most people do the opposite of what they should. And that's, they lower their prices. They try to increase their budget outside their doors. And it's the opposite. It's the same way in the restaurant industry. You know, if you're one of 5 Italian restaurants and you're the family owned one, you need to go up in your prices and increase and learn how to sell your value. You do the opposite of what the corporations do. Well, I bring up and start off with this because it's going to lead into this marketing message, and we're gonna talk about it and read some data today on how powerful this can actually be for your business, for your practice out there. And again, it goes back to getting your head in the right space. Like you can't, and why I was talking about the corporations is you can't control it. You know, there are conditions in life, how we were raised, the parents we had. Did you grow up with money or not? Economy, economic factors, politicians. Like there are things in life that we have little to no control over. But unfortunately, those are the things people typically obsess over. And they obsess over it to the point where they miss out on how they can actually use those things to their unique advantage. One of the things that I talked about at the Invisalign Align and Shine was I had a screen up of all kinds of uncontrollable things. Some of the things I just read off. And a down economy was one of the ones I focused on. And an interesting stat that I read out that I find really intriguing is that 68% of Fortune 1000 companies were founded during the Great Depression or recession. So you think about that and you say, look at all the heartache, all the tough times for people in those economic situations. There are still people that looked at it and said, there's opportunity here. And for so many of you out there, personally, professionally, if it's career oriented, business owners that own businesses that listen to this, there are so many things out there that are out of your control, but you can use to your unique advantage. And what we're going to be talking about today is one of those things. While so many people are complaining about the corporations and complaining that, oh, there's more and more competition, which you know how I feel about that, is that competition is just you and your team. If you focus on doing the right things and you're consistent about it, you're going to kick everybody else's butt. It may not be tomorrow, but eventually you'll win the long game. You're going to win the infinite game. And I made that very adamant that there was quite a few doctors that came up to me. Actually, we quite a few signed with us at that event. And there was quite a few of them like, how do I implement this? I said, you're be a great leader and you're going to implement the ideas just fine. You know, one of the true tests, and this is me talking to them, and now all of you, is one of the true tests and true signs of great leadership is change in behavior. And I've mentioned that before in the podcast, never done specific examples, but anybody can have an idea. But actually getting an idea implemented and changing human behavior and sticking with it and being repetitive and holding people accountable and being consistent, the things that nobody wants to hear, that is how you take ideas and turn them into action. It requires a change in human behavior, which is why it's a true test of leadership. And so many of you have to understand and have to realize that you can't change the conditions, but you damn well can be an innovator and learn how to use those conditions to your unique advantage. And this is a perfect example. As the corporations come in and scoop up practices, as the corporations are buying family-owned restaurants, and it's somewhat of a trend in a multitude of different industries. When we start complaining about it and we start worrying about the condition we can't control, we lose some of the obvious things. And today, I think, is one of those obvious things. But I go in to practice after practice, business after business. It could be a restaurant, it could be an orthodontic practice, it could be whatever. And you're not using what I'm about to teach you to your unique advantage. And I want you all to take what you learned today. I hope it resonates, and I want you to go back and immediately start using it. So consumers are highly, and I'm reading off several different stats and points today because I just got done doing some reading on this topic, and it's something that, and I want customers listening out there, it's going to be something that we need to implement this at a really high level. But consumers are highly overall very supportive of family businesses because they perceive them as more genuine, trustworthy, and providing a better customer experience. But they don't support that and they don't perceive it that way just because. You have to learn how to sell the value of you being a family business. And that is the marketing message that we're going to be diving into today. Is how can you eloquently, passionately communicate that you are privately owned, and how can you bring that back to the end user, the family, the patient, the customer, whatever it may be, and communicate and articulate to them how that benefits them. And guys, this is a major selling point because you can't assume they know, and just because they know, you can't assume they're going to see the value in it. We talk so much on here about, yeah, the ideas are great. A lot of the things we teach on here, I know they work, but you have to sell the value of them. People just don't show up to your door seeing the value in you. And this is such an interesting topic because these consumers are often motivated to support local family businesses, guys, to strengthen their communities. And because, again, they believe in the authenticity and the quality of these businesses. And a significant percentage of consumers are also willing to spend more to support these businesses. And this is especially true with millennials and Gen Z. But if we're not using this as something that we're proud of, if this isn't on our digital marketing channels, website, videos being done on YouTube, if we're doing a postcard campaign, you all should have a QR code that people can scan. Boom, the business owner pops up. It says, hey, thanks for watching this video. And you're talking about it and you introduce your family privately owned and how that benefits the family, the customer, the patient. This is really, really powerful. And I think this goes unnoticed because typically business owners, when they think I need more business, what do business owners, what do we teach on here? The typical default is we need more marketing. We need more advertising. Got to get the word out more. That's typically the only thing business owners really know to do. Meanwhile, time and time again, the Michelin star restaurants go, okay, we need more business. What can we do inside our doors that's going to get that? And it's such a different mindset. This is a perfect example. No, the interesting thing in our niche, obviously millennials and Gen Z are such good target markets for our niche, but they're obviously, if you're a restaurant, if you're a hotel, whatever you are out there, they're a good target market for anybody. But how you speak on the phone call, how you talk about things that are going on inside your doors, guys, the message must be discussed about you being private family owned. You get to see the same doctor every single visit. Right? We invest in the latest and greatest technologies, and we leverage that technology to make sure your diagnosis is spot on, that you get the best clinical results because of it. Our doctors always investing in things like that to stay ahead of the curve. And our patients deserve that. And that benefits them because they're going to get a better, more efficient clinical result. Also, our doctor is always investing in the highest quality materials because we're not looking to save a buck like the corporation, right? All we're trying to do is invest in the best to make sure you and your family receive the best. See, those are three just off the cuff, off the top of my head in our niche. Those are three things right there that your team needs to be articulating. You need to be doing video content, TikTok stuff, Instagram stuff, Facebook stuff, YouTube shorts, messaging on your website. Family, 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 private, private, privately owned. And this messaging needs to happen over and over and over again. And I will say, even more importantly, this messaging needs to be delivered to people that you want to refer to you. This messaging needs to be delivered on the first incoming call to your practice, to your business. This messaging needs to happen if you're doing a welcome tour still. It needs to happen on the welcome tour. It needs to happen in the TC room. And other businesses listening to us, you get the point too, right? This applies if you're a plumber, if you have a flower shop. You can't just be family owned though, and just expect people to see the value. You have to deliver this in a concise, eloquent, like I said, passionate. Can't just be, yeah, we're family owned, you should buy from us. No, it's got to be passionate, just like I was talking about. And key motivators for people to really buy to begin with, but I mean, key motivators for supporting family businesses is, like I said, authenticity and trust. Oftentimes, consumers see family businesses as the most genuine, as the most trustworthy. leading to stronger customer loyalty. And what I think is the most important is repeat business, right? All of you out there, your goal is to not make sales. Your goal is to not make money. Your goal is to turn your customers into your fans that keep buying from you and refer to you. That should be your goal. If you look at community support, a primary reason people shop at local family businesses is to help their community, ensure money stays locally, benefiting the area's economy. Like I said earlier, better quality and better service. Many consumers believe family-owned businesses offer better quality products and more personalized, higher quality customer experiences. And you all know the customer experience stats that I say on here. Right now, the most recent Harris Interactive study shows that 91% of people will choose and or remain with a business because of the experience. Right? And that word is very misconstrued and misunderstood, but the reality of the situation is these are real stats, everybody. And because consumers already have these perceptions of family-owned businesses, that's great. It puts you in the driver's seat if you're the one using it to your unique advantage. Let's say there's 5 flower shops. Well, if one flower shop is talking about you being family-owned and how you support the community and all the things that I'm talking about, you're going to win. Transparency is another one. Consumers appreciate transparency from family businesses about their sources, their ethical practices, which builds confidence in the brand, which I just talked about some. Part of and ethical practices is pretty much the same in everyone in a different way, right? Being ethical, right? There's sources. So you could be a restaurant where you source your food from, right? Again, going back to, I was using our niche, but all businesses out there, you can learn from how to articulate what I said earlier. Right, going back to transparency, we invest in the best materials to make sure you and your family get the best clinical outcomes. Like, we don't nickel and dime anything out here. Boom, that's transparency, guys. People want transparency. They like it. Not a lot of businesses are transparent. So the more transparent you are, the better. And this willingness to pay more, a big part of obviously what we talk about on here is the art of being able to charge higher prices, convert at higher levels, and then not have to advertise at all or very little because you're turning people into fans. They become your sales force. They go tell other people to come buy from you, and they themselves come buy from you again. And there is a big time art to that. That's not just one thing. And that art is not marketing, everybody. But part of the art is what you're saying in your marketing. Marketing does not create value. I have a podcast coming up. I don't know when, but it's been on my list. And it's something that Steve Jobs talked about a lot. And it's something that kind of proves everything I teach on here is value is not created by marketing. And Japanese companies do not talk about value in their marketing because they realize the value is created after the product is purchased and the customer experience that follows after making that purchase. That's where value is created. And it's an interesting podcast I'm going to do. It's an interesting concept because really, if you look around the world, the only country that tries to talk about and convince you their value in their marketing is America. There's no other country that really does it. And he uses Japan. It's a great point. But consumer behavior and willingness to spend. Look, the art of charging more, like I was talking about, the willingness to pay more. Consumers are willing, and this is studies that I'm looking at right now. They're willing to spend more to support local shops. One survey even found people willing to spend nearly $2,000 more in 2024 to ensure their favorite local shops could thrive. And another reported a willingness to spend an extra $150 a month, according to Finance and Commerce. Guys, this proves it. Right? Not only can it help you build sales, but it can also help you build sales at a higher price. You look at demographic trends. I talked about this a little bit ago. Millennials and Gen Z show particular enthusiasm for supporting local and family-owned businesses. But again, if they don't know that you're family-owned and you're not using this proactively with your marketing and proactively with how you communicate on that initial phone call, video communication, if you're not using this proactively when people walk through your doors, guys, you are losing out on something that is literally free. Costs nothing. And it's one of the most powerful marketing messages that you can have. Community engagement. I mean, looking at this stat, consumers who engage with local businesses are more likely to support them, with nearly 80% reporting their main streets are stable or growing compared to pre-pandemic years, according to Finance and Commerce. Just going back to consumer engagement, community engagement. Now, what this all means for you, everybody, is that you can reduce the amount of advertising you're doing if you learn how to communicate properly. You don't have to spend as much on your digital marketing if you learn how to communicate properly. You don't have to spend as much, period, if your people are trained how to communicate these things. Like, I just did those things off the cuff, but what I don't want all of you out there to make the mistake of is just saying, hey, talk to people about us being family owned. It's not going to work for you. Is it better than nothing? Certainly better than nothing. But again, it's the delivery. It's how you articulate. It's the excitement, the enthusiasm, how eloquent you are with the messaging. I mean, you've got to leverage, and a lot of you don't do this, but you have to leverage authenticity. Highlight family heritage, values, and personal connections to build strong, trusted-based relationships with your customers, with your patients. Things that we talk about on here so often. Guys, it's inside your doors that will make you famous. It's inside your doors that creates the value. Inside your doors that allow you to charge more. Inside your doors that will determine if someone's going to be a repeat buyer. Inside your doors on whether or not someone's going to refer their friends and their family. And this is part of emphasizing the community impact. Clearly communicate how the business contributes to the local community and economy. A thing that I've talked with customers about for a long time is the power of giving back. Is saying, with every purchase, we give $50 back to such and such, $100 back to such and such in the community so we can support the community. Or giving somebody a choice, saying, look, with your purchase, there's 2 different businesses that we can give this to. Or giving them a choice saying, hey, look, this is the business we can give this $50 to, or we will allow you to choose the business that we can give this $50 to. The promotion of transparency, like I talked about earlier. The clinical materials that we buy to make sure your family receives the best clinical result imaginable. Guys, these things are not talked about with practices. They're not talked about because they're sales skills. It's hospitality, verbiage, presentation, the psychology of the consumer. They're not talked about that. So if your people aren't experts in those things, they're not going to do it. The transparency is such a big part with restaurants, how to source the food, how we invest in the best, and we spend more to do it, to bring you beautiful organic ingredients. We invest in the best technologies in the kitchen to make sure that we take these beautiful organic ingredients and turn them into the most fabulous food imaginable. You have to be open about your processes, your ethical practices, and your commitment to your customer. Guys, that's always the most powerful message in marketing is customer experience. Everybody hears that and they're like, oh yeah, we do it. We're nice. You guys have no idea when I talk customer experience, what we really mean, especially if you're brand new to this podcast. Like, truly obsessing over your customer means that you're going to invest in your team being trained how to interact with your customer before and after sale always. That's always going to be outside of training your leadership to build the right culture, your next in line top investment that you never stop under no circumstances, no matter what your business looks like. You never stop training your people how to articulate your value proposition and make people feel really damn special before the sale and even more important, after the sale. And you have such a unique opportunity, everybody. Being family owned and I don't want to say when, because when I say when, that means there's like a finish line, and there is no finish line. There's no finish line in our business or our career. There certainly is in life. It's called death, right? there's so many stats. I was really blown away when I started looking into this family private owned messaging. Was really surprised with how much data there is, right? I knew there was going to be data to support this message, but it is overwhelming data, just endless upon endless upon endless amounts of data. You guys can all go look up. One of the things that younger generations are very passionate about is values. And what I mean by that is they want to do business with businesses that share the values that they share. They're driven by purpose. They're driven by values. Matter of fact, this is a recent study. A 2025 study found that those generations are more likely to support companies they consider authentic and ethical, with 63% of consumers buying or advocating for brands based on shared beliefs, shared values, shared purpose. Which means that, guys, your digital marketing is not for, hey, we're better, come buy from us. We rotate teeth better. We fix this better. We do this better. We're a better plumber than this. We have better food than this. That's not really what digital marketing is for. Digital marketing is to share your values, your ethics, your purpose, right? What are you driven by? Your vision, your why. That's what it's for. It's to get people motivated. And when you do marketing like that, that's how you psychologically prepare them to know they're going to buy from you before they even pick up the phone, before they even make an online reservation, book a sales call, whatever it may be. But we get so caught up in our product and we get so caught up in our numbers that we forget those aren't the things that are driving sales, especially with these younger generations. And what I'm talking about now could easily be 10 podcasts, probably. Talking about shared values, that's one, right? Talking about unique and curated products, that's another one that we talked about earlier. And again, going back to is consumers appreciate that family businesses typically offer unique, high-quality products that differ from the mass-produced goods found at big box retailers, corporations, etc. This is true in our clinical world and our niche. This is true with businesses we help outside of our niche. People businesses, right? People businesses. That's all of you are. You're a people first business. Get it through your head. No matter what you sell, no matter what you do, whether you're a doctor, a chef, a lawyer, you all are in people first businesses. And you must sell your value for people to see your value. And this is one major one, being able to sell that you're family private owned. Make the switch, everybody. Get your people trained on how to articulate this. Put it all over your digital marketing and sell that value proposition. And you can use all these corporations buying up businesses. You can use this to your advantage. You can't end the corporations buying businesses, but you damn well can stand out above them, because what we're talking about today is something they can't articulate. What we're talking about today, they're never going to be able to say they buy the best, because they don't. They nickel and dime everything. And this gives you a very unique value proposition. If you're passionate about it and you spread it throughout the community, is a reason people should buy from you. I hope everybody enjoyed today. As always, thumb this up and share this with friends, colleagues, anybody looking to transform life, career, and business. If you're watching on YouTube, hey there, thumbs us up. Like I said, make some comments, get some comments going there, get some chatter going there. If you're listening on all the audio experience channels, appreciate it. Write us a 5-star review on whatever channel you're listening to. And until next time, we'll see everybody soon. Bye-bye.